Welcome to ReEnvision, the podcast where we explore what truly happens when we embrace change as one of life's most profound rhythms. I'm your host, Bédard, and together we will embark on a transformative journey, finding joy and happiness amid life's shifts while strengthening our hearts, cultivating our resilience, nurturing the courage to evolve and to uncover our own ability to thrive and move forward. Here, we have full permission to be ourselves, to explore, to discuss, and to simply be. We'll tap into the deep knowing that has always been within as we navigate change with simplicity, lightness, and fluidity, open to new understandings, new perspectives, and even new possibilities. So whether you're seeking inspiration, empowerment, or simply a space to reflect and contemplate, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Happy to be back here and to record this episode. It is a long time coming, and while it's not directly linked to the podcast's overarching theme, it is very much so in the process that I've been through that led me to here. So I thought that it would be a good way to kind of like let you learn more about that side of me. So as I talked about in the first podcast, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 49, and she passed away at 51. That was between the years 2008 and 2010. Now, 2 years before my mother got diagnosed with breast cancer, my father went in for a emergency bypass surgery. He was supposed to have a triple bypass, and he ended up having a quadruple bypass surgery, so at the age of 49 as well. So you can see that 49 was kind of like the dreadful number for me when I actually look at where I was going, and it really hit me hard, especially after I got my car accident in 2010, which led me to develop chronic pain. That was the same year that I lost my mom, and it really was, I'm gonna say, my life smacked down. Not that I didn't have any before, but that was really something that hit me hard. The interesting thing is I have a bachelor's in biology, in ecology, environment, and evolution. And between the years that when my father got his bypasses, I was master's level, and the year that my mom was going through treatments, I was finishing my writing up my master's and handing it in early in 2009, I think. Now, the interesting thing is I did my master's in habitat modeling. Habitat modeling or modelization is a way to look at variables in the environment and see which one correlates the best, or combination of ones that correlates the best with a life link variable to a species in a certain time of their life or a certain development stage of their life. So this can be applied to any species, from insects to fish to mammals to humans as well, since we're mammals. And I was through the process of going through the habitat modeling, I think that it kind of molded my brain into looking at the environment variables and see which ones are predicting how happy or how healthy we were as humans. Throughout the entire years that I've moved through, well, after my father got his bypass, and then my mother going to breast cancer, and then having my car accident, which led me to develop chronic pain, I have explored a lot of different science-based medical modalities to kind of help me get more into a health state, a healthier state overall in my life. And I got more and more interested into wellness and well-being and better living, and how this interdependence between us and the environment is working. And when we're looking at genetics, there's about 15 to 20% of what our life is like what is expressed basically that is directly linked to the genetics. But there's actually 85% that is linked to the genetics, but through epigenetics. So it means that epigenetics is the effect of the environment on our genetics. So we have DNA that is coding for so much more than we actually need on a day-to-day basis or even in a lifetime. And about like the science is actually showing that about 20% is kind of like fixed. So it's, the color of my eyes, for example, or my hair or certain diseases. But there's a lot of the genetics that is expressed depending on the environment. And this is very interesting because obviously when we're talking about hormonal system, the way that we actually produce hormones, well, it depends on the environment and what's going on. And so on a daily scale, we're really going through that, but also like on the long term, what develops in from our genetics is highly dependent on the environment. And some studies are actually showing that it is actually 80 to 85% of our genetic expression that is linked to the environment, which is really, really big. So when I started to look at this, I was really interested into understanding what it meant for me, because, like 49 and how I could make it so this was not going to be my faith. Was there something that I could do actively to improve on my health, wellness, and well-being that could significantly decrease the chances or increase the chances that I would be healthy and not have issues at 49, 50 years old? And applying those kind of like habitat modeling way of thinking, I started to explore a lot of like, okay, how can I go into the literature and see what we know about, different things and different variables that are impactful into our lives, and how can I make it so I'm really leveraging all that knowledge and making sure that it works for me, and it works for me not only now but in the future. I started to look at a lot of like things, and while I was so after my car accident in 2010, I developed chronic pain, and it kind of like it put me in a position where it was really bringing out a lot of the stuff within that I need to deal with, because it was the same year as I lost my mother. So I was trying to move through grief. And usually when I was moving through something, I was physically moving through something. But the fact that I had chronic pain kind of hindered my ability to move through grief with the regular types of, tools that I had. So I had to explore other tools. And I was through the process, I was very disappointed with what the medical system was providing me, because there was obviously no prevention, but there was also like a very limited way of doing things that was relying a lot on medication, which had a lot of side effects, and I've been through that a lot, and a lot of lack of holistic way of looking at the body. So I started to look into more contemplative traditions or alternative medicine or holistic medicine. So what do we know about this? Where are we in the knowledge that we have? And how can I make it so this works for me as well? The interesting thing is, as much as I am a very science-driven person, a very logical person, I started to dive into trusting my inner knowing and my inner how I felt about certain modalities and how it was helping me, and without overthinking it, and just like feeling in my body. And I started to bridge the different areas of science and traditions, and welcoming and really acknowledging the fact that there's so many things that we cannot measure yet, that we haven't had the chance to get to it, that science is an ever evolving body of work, and that there's things that have been working for a long time that we don't understand how they work, but that doesn't mean that they don't work. The best example that I can give you about this is we still have a theory about how the muscle contractions work. We're not even sure if that theory is really the one that explains, but it's still the one that we have. It's still the best one that explains what is happening, and it doesn't mean that muscle contractions don't happen, right? Like, so I think that a lot of the time we tend to get lost in the hard science. But one of the best qualities of scientists is actually to keep an open mind and to always ask questions and to always like make sure that we are evolving and that we're expanding into this knowledge. And how can we organize it? Because the way that we actually see the world, we observe, we organize, you collect data and everything, and we organize it, we draw correlations so we can actually predict. And evolving through this, it led me to eventually do my naturopathy training, so certification. And because I organize things in my head, I organize variables in like kind of like 5 big areas in my life where I can actually improve. And for me, but also for my clients, a lot of those iterations you're going to see like out there, and sometimes people have a little less, sometimes people have a little more. But for me, those were the ones that I could actually make sense, and I could really take actionable steps for me and my clients and kind of lead my way into this. So the 5 areas of work that I actually came up with, that I work with, are nutrition. So nutrition, not just diet related, but also nutrition like what we feed our entire being in the broader sense. The second one is movement, and how movement can really connect us to our bodies, but also like how can we dive into our inner beings and see where are the contractions and where we can actually move around and change the beliefs and evolve through patterns that have been installed. And so the movement piece of it is, yes, the body movement, but it's actually bigger than that. And this is going to be something that I'm going to expand a lot more in the next episodes, because it's actually really linked to the overarching theme of this podcast, which is embracing change courageously. Now, the third piece is rest in a broader sense. I actually recently made a post about the 7 different types of rest that I see in my life. You can also see this in my on my website, the 7 different areas of rest that we can have. So rest is not just sleeping, so the physical rest, but also like the creative rest, the spiritual rest, the sensory rest. So that's actually another piece of it. The fourth, it used to be stress management, but now I call it stress empowerment, because there's a lot of like stress is everywhere, right? And I think that over the years we got lost into we're trying to manage stress and reduce stress, but we've forgotten that stress is a catalyst for change, and there's a lot of empowerment in stress and stress related situation. And this is a piece that I wanted to really change the mindset around when I went from stress management to stress empowerment. So that's why, but originally it was the stress management. And then the last piece of it was the sense of purpose. So what makes you get up in the morning and go to work or get involved in the community, and like what drives you in life? And all these 5 areas were resting on a big block. I had a schematic. I can also link it in the show notes, but I had a schematic that had it's like kind of like those 5 areas and a puzzle pentagon, and this was resting on the environment. Not only the environment is a big part of all these different areas, meaning that they have a direct effect, like, you know, the environment where you are has a direct effect on the nutrition or the stress that you have to cope with and move through. But it was also the fact that the environment can either hinder or really empower you in the right direction. And this touches more into the personal power versus circumstantial power that we're going to develop as well. And that was kind of like a big piece of it. And that's why it was resting on the environment piece. One of the thing that really made it so clear to me that I was onto something while I was researching in my thought process is not only I'm not the only one that is talking about these areas or how these areas are impacting our lives, but there was also something. I went to a conference, I think it was 2018, and I was in the conference. It was the dean of the Institut Cardiologique de Montréal, and he was talking about heart health and the different variables that are linked to making it healthy or less healthy, and how could we change our lifestyle to actually not only slow down the process of heart health decline, but also reverse. And he showed, it was a Statistic Canada compilation data. What he showed really changed it really put the kind of the nail on the coffin of like, this is something that is so powerful as a message. Is he showed specifically a graphic that was showing the life expectancy versus the health adjusted life expectancy. Now, what does this mean? What did it mean in this study? What they did was, because we all know that the life expectancy is increasing, both for men and women. Women are living a little bit older than men. Based on those data, I think it was 2015, men life expectancy in Canada was 79.8, and women it was 83.9. Now, they adjusted the life expectancy with health. Like, they looked at the data and they looked at so when we adjust for health expectancy in this particular case, what they did was they looked at adding a modulating variable for people that had not just one morbidity, but two comorbidity that were impacting the life expectancy that we usually have. And so it's not just one, it's really like everybody that had two. So it would even be more if we were looking at just one, but they were looking at, okay, who has two health modulating expectancy, and they adjusted for that, which brought the life expectancy when it's health adjusted for men from 79.8 to 69. So that was 9.75 years less. And for women, it brought it from 83.9 to 70.5. So that was 12.35 years. I was just shocked, because what this means in layman's term is, even if the life expectancy of women was increasing, and it was now in 2015 83.9, we were expecting to live 14.99% of our life, so the last 12.35 years, not in a good health, with a reduced health. And for men, it was 12.59%. So for me, that was like, wow. It's actually like people that's more than 10% of our life that we're going to be living that is not a healthy one. And the even more mind-boggling piece of this was that those morbidities were lifestyle related. And there's so much data that shows that those lifestyle related health issues are not only preventable, they're reversible. And that gives us power back. And to go back to what I was saying about the fact that 15 to 20% of our genetic expression is like fixed, but like 80 to 85% is environmentally related, that gives us power back. That gives us so much power back. I actually hear so many people say, oh yeah, well, what do you want to do? It runs in my family. And a lot of times I'm saying, does it really run in your family? Meaning that is this really genetic related? Or when you look at the family lifestyle, they have a very similar lifestyle, and they're really, really reproducing the same patterns in the areas that I was mentioning earlier. And then when you actually can't say, well, like in rest of my family, there's nothing I can do. And I'm saying, no, actually you can do a lot, because you have 85% of the power in your hands. Now that can be either really freeing or really scary, because now the power is in your hands and you have the responsibility to make it so you can change and embrace a healthier life. Health, wellness, well-being, better living. But it takes action, and a lot of people are afraid of this. But when we're looking at the data, I think that the investment in time and resources and dedication to our health is really, really, really worth it. So I can't end this episode without quoting Spider-Man and saying that with great power comes great responsibility. Thank you for being part of today's ReEnvision episode, where we explore the incredible journey of embracing change as one of life's most profound rhythms. As the seasons of life shift, we hold the power to navigate our path with courage, intuition, and wisdom. Embrace change with an open heart, for within lies the potential of a remarkable growth and evolution. If you know someone who would benefit from this conversation, I'd be honored if you shared it with them and spread the love. If this podcast has resonated with you, please subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a heartfelt review, and share it on social media. You can stay connected with me on social media with the handle @MeLifestyleDesign, where I continue to share insights and inspiration. Until our next encounter, keep exploring, embracing change, and finding joy in every moment. And remember to always keep re-envisioning your life with love and purpose. I love you, I see you, I feel you. Take care.